Anyone who has watched Gold Rush knows that Rick Ness is no stranger to finding wealth. Despite his lack of mining experience, he began his career as a musician who was broke and had no idea where to go for gold. However, he has managed to become one of the wealthiest Gold Rush personalities. But how much of his hard work has the rough miner actually pocketed? His wealth is more complex than it appears, and you might be surprised by some of the figures. Rick Ness's ascent to stardom isn't your run-of-the-mill tale. Actually, prior to his appearance on Gold Rush, a Discovery Channel show, he used to be a member of the 357 String Band, a band that played music. Rick wasn't even a part of Gold Rush when it first aired in 2010. Even though he arrived later, Rick stood out from the crowd because, unlike the others, he wasn't a miner. To be more specific, he had zero background in the mining industry. He possessed motivation and a receptive mindset, and sometimes that's all it takes to start a whole new thing. He had guts, wasn't scared to put in the time, and was prepared to show the world what he could do. Unsurprisingly, his narrative will undoubtedly be one of the more captivating ones on the broadcast. You would be sorely erroneous to assume that Rick was given a job and a fortune in a nutshell. The dazzling gold nuggets that would alter the course of his life were buried beneath layers of rock and soil, and he had to dig them out. Let us now listen to the story of his metamorphosis. Your life's path is completely unpredictable. It is Rick Ness who can provide the necessary justification for this saying. During his earlier years, Rick's profession revolved around music. The bluegrass punk band he's a part of uses bass. He lived out of his luggage the whole time, touring the nation and performing gigs wherever he could. Music is his passion, but he understands from experience that it's not easy to make. He reached a crossroads in his life in 2012. Rick met Gold Rush star Parker Schnabel at one of his Alaskan comedy performances. Schnabel spotted something worthwhile in Rick, and the two hit it off immediately. Rick, who was always game for an adventure, took up Parker's invitation to join his mining crew on Gold Rush despite his lack of mining experience. Taking a leap of faith from a musician to a miner, Rick acknowledged he wasn't sure he could pull it off, is about as irrational as it gets. Rick accomplished precisely that. He jumped headfirst into the dangerous and harsh world of gold mine after trading in his bass guitar for excavators and bulldozers. It would not take Rick long to discover how mentally and physically draining mining is. It is clearly not an occupation for the faint of heart. His perseverance and resolve more than compensated for his lack of expertise. Indeed, Rick had a point to make with the world, but his own sense of self-worth was much more vital. This was Rick's entry into the gold mining industry, marking the beginning of his path to great wealth. There is no easy way to mine in the Klondike. This is one of the most difficult locations on the planet to make a living because of the extreme weather, high stakes, and severe terrain. Simply put, it's about making it. It didn't take him long to figure out that mining was more complicated than just operating big machines to extract gold from the ground. Fighting against the forces of nature and time was an exhausting ordeal. Not only is the Klondike frigid, it is mercilessly harsh. Dangerously low temperatures are possible, machinery is prone to malfunction, and time is of the essence. In the gold mining industry, every minute counts, and every day lost means thousands of dollars. Rick had a very unglamorous job working at Parker Schnabel. First, he had to master the fundamentals of gold mining, which included operating an excavator and properly storing dirt heaps. Even though it was difficult, he never flinched away from a challenge. He went for it. It was also not easy for Rick to figure out how to collaborate with others in a team setting when things were heated. Pressure was at an all-time high in an environment where slip-ups might cost a lot. Rick learned a lot about patience while playing the waiting game in gold mining. Spend days, if not weeks, in the dirt piles and still come up empty-handed. Everything was worth it when you felt the rush of having hit it big the instant you knew you had struck it big. Nothing worthwhile is ever simple to achieve, as Rick has said. You need to be persistent and have thick skin. As he gained experience and self-assurance in his early years on the job, Rick started to fantasize about a future where he was not just a member of the team but also the one issuing instructions. Unbeknownst to him, the chance that would grant his wish was closer than he had anticipated. At some point, the hero of every underdog story must leave the safety of their mentor and venture into the unknown. When Rick boldly decided to quit Parker Schnabel's crew and go out on his own in Season 9 of Gold Rush, that was a watershed moment for him. Frankly, a lot of people thought he was insane for taking such a large chance. Exploring the mining world without proper safety precautions is like leaping out of a plane without a parachute. Most of the time you will crash and burn, but occasionally you will land. For a long time, Parker had served as Rick's guide and instructor in the ways of mining. After all, working for someone else's enterprise is very different from being your own boss. However, everything was at risk when he decided to fly solo. Hazards, both financial and otherwise, to one's mining abilities. Since he had to put his own money into the operation, he would personally be responsible for any problems that arose. The mental toll would be substantial. Every error is your responsibility when you are in charge, as he freely acknowledged. Nobody else is at fault. As the audience watched him get ready for his first season as the leader of a mining company, the suspense grew. Could he strike it rich, or would he ruin himself in the process? He faced insurmountable odds. When I decided to go it alone, I had to find new area to mine, recruit the best staff, and face all the logistical difficulties that come with starting a mining company from the ground up. Additionally, he had to accomplish all of this while facing the harshest conditions imaginable in the Klondike. Rick, unfazed, had always been the type to take chances, and this was his greatest bet yet. "I'm taking a chance on myself," he informed him. Even as spectators, we felt compelled to root for him. He was plunging headfirst into unknown terrain with the stakes at an all-time high. Did he win the bet? Rick had a really roller coaster first year in charge of a mining company. One positive aspect is that he was allowed to act independently. "I will no longer be subservient or answerable to anyone." But there is a flip side to that coin. Enormous power comes with enormous responsibility. That is not cheap in the gold mining industry. Perhaps Rick's crew was the greatest obstacle he faced. Beyond his role as boss, he also served as a leader. The Klondike is a high-pressure environment, and being a leader there isn't easy. Tensions were high and tempers were flaring. And it was Rick's responsibility to fix things whenever they went wrong, which was frequently. Due to the unpredictable weather, equipment broke down frequently, and every minute of downtime resulted in lost revenue. On top of that, Rick was under constant pressure to find the gold. If you can't find gold, you can't eat, as the saying goes in mining circles. Feeling like a ticking time bomb, every day went by without a discovery. Anyone watching, including Rick, could feel the mounting tension. He waited to see if his ambition of becoming a mining boss would be dashed, but he found enough gold to keep his operation going. Here, though, was when his resiliency really showed. He persisted in moving forward. In an interview, he stated, "I'm not a quitter." He was referring to his history of refusing to back down from a challenge. He persevered through the season's worst days with that mentality. It transpired thereafter. Rick and his crew finally hit gold after weeks of digging and overcoming difficulty after obstacle. It was a tense, thrilling time. A look of relief and joy crossed Rick's face. Taking a major chance was beginning to pay off. When he struck gold at last, all his hard work was finally recognized. He is constantly up against enormous pressure and seemingly endless obstacles. However, he had done it. As a mining boss, he had made his mark. At that very moment, Rick's first substantial gold haul as an independent operator occurred. The months of grueling work, financial risks, and personal sacrifices started to pay off at that time in life and in mining. They were ecstatic. Even those back home were in on the victory. It was the kind of genuine, heartwarming experience that reality TV occasionally provides. Despite the thrill of finding gold, the reality of how difficult this industry is became painfully clear with the discovery. The search for gold is just the beginning. Making sure there is enough gold to cover all your costs, keeping the operation functioning, and keeping the finances in order are all part of it. That is the ongoing struggle. When asked about his first year in management, Rick was the first to say it was just the beginning. What he did find was plenty to sustain him, but it was far from a jackpot. His story benefited much from such doggedness. During the first season, he had every reason to stop. Financial stress, natural catastrophes, and broken equipment all hurt his business, and still he would not yield. He instead stepped up his game. He came clean about his feelings of despondency in an interview that followed. "But I refused to budge on it. Gold was bound to be found. Time would eventually run out." Rick became wealthy through gold mining, but it wasn't the only source of income. The fact that he is a reality TV star certainly helps with the bottom line. A large portion of his meteoric climb to fame and fortune may be attributed to his appearances on this show. Participants on a reality program like Gold Rush are likely to receive more than just fame and fortune once it has been on the air for a while. In addition to the check that was in the mail, Rick's paycheck included a substantial sum of money. In addition to having one's face shown on national television, there are several benefits to becoming famous, such as increased visibility and the opportunity to earn money through endorsement deals, public appearances, and item sales. This opened up even more opportunities for Rick to capitalize on the gold rush and establish his personal brand. The combination of his easygoing personality and dogged work ethic made him a fan favorite. Possessing such a reputation allows one to access valuable prospects outside of the mining industry. Over the years, Rick has augmented his income through partnerships with brands and enterprises that align with his persona. A lot of people are watching the show now. One of the Discovery Channel's highly watched series that consistently grosses millions upon millions of dollars each week is Gold Rush. Not only does the network benefit from that type of exposure, but so do the actors. The worth of the show's stars increases as its popularity grows. Even Rick falls within this category. Rick has a respectable financial foundation thanks to the show's earnings and the gold he has recovered. However, he is not the type to sit on his hands. Rick has stated that the gold mining industry is chaotic. You may have a very successful season one year and then completely tank the following. And that is why he has spread his money around. Reality TV is bringing in some cash, but Rick is aware that mining is where the big money is. Rick has won big on Gold Rush every season. The continual stress is an additional aspect of the story that is not shown on camera. Financial strain and the emotional and physical challenges he faces as a result. In fact, he made the comment in an interview that nobody understands the difficulty of the job until they are doing it. Working 18-hour days in sub-zero temperatures with broken equipment is enough to make anyone want to call it quits. Mining is already a physically demanding profession, but it will be downright brutal in the Klondike. There's the added pressure of worrying about how to pay the bills. Every malfunctioning piece of equipment takes money out of his pocket. Knowing that you still have to pay the bills even if you don't find any gold is the hardest part, Rick remarked. It's quite demanding. Further adding to this is the mental toll of being away from loved ones for months at a time, working in complete isolation and dealing with the inherent dangers of gold mine. When asked about the difficulties he has faced in this area, Rick has been forthright and said directly that maintaining a smile in such a high-pressure setting is not easy. But he keeps going ahead regardless of all these obstacles. "Hard labor has always been something I've been comfortable with," he remarked. Success in this field requires a willingness to get your hands filthy and confront challenges directly. Rick has finally reaped the rewards of his years of toil, both on and off screen. His wealth has grown to an estimated $3 million as of today. His career as a gold miner has brought him a great deal of wealth, much beyond his days as a musician who was literally living on the wheels and barely making ends meet. Obviously, not every season is done exceptionally well. Rick has weathered the ups and downs of the gold mining industry with grace, continuing to make a consistent profit even when times were tough. Not to mention the money he made from his role in Gold Rush. Rick has been a regular cast member for several seasons, and as one of the show's primary characters, he has earned a respectable income. Estimates put Rick's annual salary at between $100,000 and $200,000, while the precise figures are not disclosed. Not to mention any further incentives or bonuses that may have been granted based on the show's ratings and general success. Aside from his mining earnings and TV show salary, he has not been oblivious to the fact that his reputation has allowed him to diversify his sources of income through sponsorships, brand partnerships, and public appearances. But Rick isn't the kind to boast about his wealth. Actually, he is often the first to point you that gold mining may be rather unpredictable. One bad season could change everything he stated in an interview, even if he could be worth millions now. Because of this, Rick never takes his eyes off the grind. However, the most important question is what comes next. The question is straightforward as he stands at the peak of his mining career. Through all of life's ups and downs, Rick has never been one to give up when faced with adversity. He's perpetually planning his next move, whether that's expanding his mining operation, taking on additional projects, or investigating other revenue streams. In recent times, he has dropped hints that he is interested in exploring other opportunities, either completely abandoning the mining industry or finding methods to augment his mining career with other pursuits. An expansion of Rick's influence in the television industry is the one thing that seems to be circulating, if not explicitly expected. Considering how beloved he is among Gold Rush viewers and how well his charming personality suits the role of an everyday hero, it's easy to see him branching out into other media. With his magnetic charisma, Rick is a natural for hosting spin-off shows and delving into documentary work. I can relate to him. That is an admirable quality in a society where being genuine is paramount. Rick has always been one to put his career before his popularity. The goal of becoming a TV star was never my intention, Rick has stated. The work is what drew me to it. It so happened that the show was a component of the transaction. So even though Hollywood is still popular, Rick's true passion will always be in the mining industry. Rick also has the option of expanding his business even further. In light of all he has learned about mining as a business in recent seasons, he is free to stake new claims or put his money into other mines whenever he wants. With Rick's background, the possibilities in the gold mining sector are practically limitless and the industry is massive. The point is, he has demonstrated the necessary skills to manage a profitable mining company, and with the correct associates, the sky's the limit. Rick might decide he no longer wants to be a miner at any moment. No one would have stopped him if, after years of grueling work and the continual stress of managing a gold mine, he chose to pick up his hard hat and pursue something new. However, Rick is not quite prepared to leave, always seeking the excitement of new discoveries and the possibility of a massive gold hit. The prospect of more gold is ever present, Rick said with a smile. I will continue to mine for gold so long as it is there. Regardless matter the direction he takes his career, the following chapter will follow suit. Fans of the gold rush, nevertheless, can be certain that the excitement is far from done.